In this lesson, we're going to learn about multiplying a monomial by a polynomial, and we're also going to look at factoring a monomial from a polynomial. To multiply a monomial by a polynomial, we use the distributive property. And so we'll look at this example. The monomial x squared times the polynomial 3x cubed minus 2x squared plus 8. So we will distribute x squared times 3x cubed distributed to minus 2x squared and the monomial x squared times 8. So that looks like x squared times 3x cubed plus x squared times a negative 2x squared plus my x squared times 8. So we have to remember our multiplying by exponent with exponents rules. We're keeping the same base and we're adding exponents. We'll make sure we bring the coefficients out front. So we have 3 times x to the 5th plus a negative 2x to the 4th plus an 8x squared. We have another more advanced example here where we're going to be multiplying a monomial times a polynomial in two different situations within an expression, and then we're going to end up having to combine like terms to completely simplify. So we're going to distribute the x times the x and the x times the positive 2, and then we're also going to distribute the monomial. Let's change this to add the opposite. Let's distribute the negative 3x times x and a negative 3x times a negative 5. So we get x squared plus 2x plus a negative 3x squared, and then a negative times a negative is a positive, so plus a 15x. Now what we can do is combine like terms. We have x squareds, which we can combine, and we have x's that can get combined. So we have x squared minus 3x squared, so that's a negative 2x squared. And then we have 2x's and 15x's, which gives us a positive 17x. The next thing we're going to take a look at is factoring, and factoring is undoing, or it's the inverse of the distributive property. So because distributive property is multiplying, factoring is truly dividing, and we're dividing through by the greatest common monomial factor. So let's take a look at the example. 6x cubed plus 12x squared plus 18x. So our first question to ourselves should be, what is our greatest common monomial factor? In other words, what is the greatest coefficient that'll go into 6, 12, and 18? And that would be 6. And then as we look at the variable part of each of these terms, the x cubed, the x squared, and the x, they all have the variable x to the first as a common factor. And so our greatest common monomial factor of this polynomial is 6x. So we'll pull that outside of the parentheses, and then we'll divide through each of these monomials in the polynomial by 6x. So 6x cubed divided by 6x leaves us with x squared. 12x squared divided by 6x, 12 divided by 6 is 2, and x squared divided by x is x. And then finally, 18x divided by 6x, 18 divided by 6 is 3, and x divided by x is 1. So that leaves us with the constant 3. And so our final answer is 6x times the quantity x squared plus 2x plus 3.